sure we are giving all the information and support we need to give to make you guys successful in selling new home construction. So this is an idea that we've had over the last probably 3 or 4 years, and I've been blessed with a great committee that has worked to put this together, and here we are finally getting in front of you guys. Cooperation from our friends at GAAR and promoting this and working with us to get this event put together. So we are very thankful for that partnership. We look to grow it. I encourage you guys all at some point after the event's over tonight, come find me and talk to me about how you can participate in the Sales and Marketing Council for the HBA. We'd love to have you join in, cooperate, work with us. We have meetings monthly, events, probably quarterly. So we'd love to have you join in with us. A couple things that I want to do here. First, we have a number of members of our board from the HBA: Rita, Danielle, Bill, anybody else? Mackenzie, I think I saw you. Wanda, Mac over there. Oh, Mac at the Westway table. I love it. Love you, brother. So, any of our other board members I missed? Thank you to you guys for coming out this afternoon. We have 2 sponsors in putting this event together. Frost Mortgage is our alcoholic beverage sponsor, so every and then our presenting sponsor and probably the biggest supporter of what we do on the sales side in new home construction, and that's Fidelity National Title. They are great partners. I speak personally my experience. I started owning my own brokerage, worked primarily in resale for years, and Fidelity is probably the best partner I've had in all of my real estate transactions. So Rick Davis is my closing officer over there. But Jorge, where's Jorge?
Right here.
Right there.
There's
And April just walked in too. Where'd April go?
April Kavari's back there.
Yeah,
We'll
there
let
she is.
Jorge come.
Oh, there she is.
Thank you, JP. Appreciate it. What a turnout. Wow. I feel like I should sing or something. Thank you all very much for coming. What an amazing turnout. What a great opportunity for us to participate and be a sponsor in this. But I really want to talk about opportunity. You all have an amazing opportunity. Obviously, this panel is going to tell you all about what they can do and what they can provide.
Check.
You have a great opportunity. You have the opportunity to be able to put people in homes and help them buy a home, their first home, their last home, their next home. It's a great opportunity. And I want to remind you, new construction is a great opportunity, great advantage for people to take a look at. You obviously have people looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single story. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Now there's this one that was built in the 90s. It's a great opportunity. It needs a little love. It's great. Or you've got this other new, shiny, bright one, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single story. It's maybe 5 minutes away from where you want to be, but it's in a great neighborhood. It's got parks. It's a great thing for you all to consider and take a look at new construction. When inventory is low and you can't find exactly what you're looking for, think about each one of these builders and what they can provide for you, and the newness they can provide for your buyers, and the safety, and the warranty, and the different advantages it provides. And Fidelity, what we do is we help you potentially find those buyers. If you're looking for renters, looking for people who maybe they're renting their home, they're looking for getting out of their home and looking to purchase, we can help you. We can help you find leads, people who've been renting and who make $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 plus a year. We can actually help you market to those folks with door hangers or postcards and help you find leads for those. We can also help you find those people who are looking to move up. My family's big. We have 6. I have a wife. I have 4 girls. We need a big house. We were in 2,000 square feet. It didn't fit. We needed the next home. So what do? We go look into construction, go find a new opportunity. So you can find people like my scenario looking to move into the next home. We can help you market to those folks who have children and who are in less than 1,800 square feet. Let's market to those folks and help them get into a home and look at new construction for that option. That's where our role comes in, to be able to help you provide opportunities to find these new buyers. And one last tidbit I'll mention is we have an app. So as those people come to you and they say, I'm looking for a house, we're renting now, spending $2,000 a month, what kind of home can I afford? Fidelity Agent 1 is a free app. I'll say it again, Fidelity Agent, fidelityagent.com. Check it out. You can do something called monthly affordability. For $2,000 a month, if you're looking at your rent show, you can afford about $285,000. You can look at, and you can run numbers for them specifically with that. Or they come to you and they say, hey, oh, I found this bright, new, shiny home. I'd like to buy it. What's my monthly payment going to be? I haven't gotten pre-qualified yet. Tell you what, I've got an app for that. Fidelity Agent 1. You can go look into that, and with that price of $399, $450, whatever it is, it'll give you the monthly payment. If you do a conventional, FHA, VA, whatever it is, the app will come in handy. And so that's really our role, is to be able to help you connect with these builders here and build that relationship for your clients and get them into something that they deserve. So we appreciate the opportunity to sponsor. We did give some additional shout outs. Rick Davis, one of our escrow officers, is back there. April Cavari, our market president, is back there. We're happy to sponsor. We love being a partner with the HBA, and we appreciate the opportunity to do this. Thank you all for coming, and thank you all for the opportunity.
Thanks, Lloyd, and again, the best in title company marketing right there, so give them a shot, let them work with them, you'll be really happy. A couple more house cleaning things before we move on. Our HBA staff, who is key to all we do with the HBA, Joseph and Jill, I think they still might be sitting out there, but a huge thank you to them. They are the backbone of all we do with the HBA, and we sit around with great ideas and they execute everything we come up with, and it's super convenient to have them, super easy. Kind of the purpose of what we're doing today is to get together, and we've been talking a lot about the shifting market, right? And so much of what I'm hearing about the shifting market is, man, how do we survive? How do we survive this shifting market? And to me, we really have to change our mindset. We can't look at surviving. We have to figure out how to thrive, right? When COVID came in, 3, 4, whatever it was, I don't remember how long it was. When that came in, we were all scared to death. And we all figured out how to do new business. And we killed it. So we have to look at this as an opportunity to hone our old skills, to get new skills, and learn how to thrive in this shifting market. And so I think that's what we want to look at today as we gather information and we ask questions. So our whole event today will be moderated by Ann Vallejo. Ann worked in new construction for 14 years on the sales and marketing side. She left that to go to Keller Williams. She's been with Keller Williams for 7 years, has her own team, GAAR Realtor, and most importantly, that woman right there held the record for rebounds in the state of New Mexico in high school basketball. 17 years. And I love it because I coach girls basketball, so that's super important. But I'll hand it over to Ann and we'll get going.
That is a real stick right there. Can you guys hear me, or do I need to move this closer? Closer? Okay. All right, how about now? Awesome. So before we get started, I just wanted to check, is there anyone from Abrazo Homes here? You guys brought the whole team.
The sea of blue.
Yeah! Hey, I just wanted to say real quick, when we got together, 6 weeks ago or something, and talked about putting this on, we hoped we'd have like 125 people here. And there's 200 of you that RSVP'd for this event. So our goal was not to do this one time, but to do it twice a year and talk about a different topic of how builders and the new home builders can work together with our industry. So look for those. We're going to continue to do these and bring a lot of value to you to help you continue to grow your business. So happy to do that. Let me go ahead and introduce our panel before we get started. I'm going to start on the far end over there. Miguel Pena from GAAR Homes. He's the sales manager there. He's a native New Mexican, born and raised here. He's been in real estate for 5 years, and 3 of those in new construction. Will Mannion is the director of sales for Pulte Homes here in New Mexico. He's been in the new home industry since 1999. He's been with Pulte Homes for 7 years and transferred to Albuquerque a year ago from the Phoenix, Arizona market. Mr. JP Real, he's told you a little bit about himself, but he's the director of sales and marketing for Westway Homes. He's been a licensed broker here for 18 years. He successfully used new construction to change the path of his brokerage and leverage that to his current position. So he knows a lot about leveraging this business, and he's currently on the board of the HBA and has served as the chair of sales and marketing council for the last 2 years. lady up here is Sheena Ramos, and she has been in the field of marketing, ranging from professional service firms such as engineers and architects to CPA firms and startup ventures for 14 years. And that landed her one of the best jobs and in the best industry in home building, and she started with Abrazo Homes in 2014. I'm not sure this guy next to me needs an introduction, but if you don't know him, this is Tito Venturi, which he's been an agent since 2006. I didn't know that until I looked it up today. Seven, okay.
Great time to get into real estate.
Along with his wife Tracy, they own and lead the team at the Venturi Group. He's a self-proclaimed tech geek, and he's taken the marketing of homes to the next level using the latest technology and marketing strategies. And he is extremely generous in always sharing his data with us, so we're grateful for that. I'm going to trade you spots.
Okay.
And let you take it away. So, Tito's going to get us started and take about 10 to 15 minutes to really just share with everybody what our market is seeing on our side of the industry, what we're seeing change. Is that change normal, not normal, and what we're seeing before we talk to our panel about what they're seeing in the market.
Thanks, Ann and JP. Thanks for putting this together. And we did something like, Mac, how long ago we did something at GAAR a few years ago, which was great. We in the realtor community have to embrace and work with the home builders here in our community. And I'm going to lay out a picture that's not very pretty. We're going to start with the bad news, and we're going to finish with some good news here on our housing market. And has anybody noticed that home sales have slowed down a little bit? Just a little bit? So, just give some numbers on that. We're down 31% in number of homes that closed in October versus last year. We're down 18% on a 12-month rolling number of home sales. Now, granted, 2021 and into 2022 were the most number of homes ever sold in the Albuquerque area. We peaked in a year-over-year at about 16,000 homes, and I think it was June of this year, and it's been pulling back ever since. So the reality is the number of homes selling is down. We know that, and that's going to continue. That is not going to change. Doubling of mortgage rates is brutal. We went from 3% to plus 7%. Now we pulled back a little bit. That's good news, just last week. But that has really pushed a lot of people out of the home buying market. And so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on pricing, but I did want to share some data with you on it. And Sean Hellman's here, so if I get the data wrong, he's going to fix me, because he knows his stuff just like I do. From 1977 until 2022, home prices in the Albuquerque area appreciated on average 4.2% per year. Long term, home prices have always gone up about 4% if you figure it out over a long period. However, there was that 10-year period from 2006 until about, let's say, 2010, 2012, where you would have lost, right? If you bought at the peak in 2006, you would have been behind. What's happened though, in the last 2 years, we've averaged 18% price appreciation in the Albuquerque area. That is unprecedented. And everybody says, okay, well that's it. That means we're in a bubble, right? That means we've built up and now the bubble's gonna pop. Just remember, and I know a lot of you guys know this, is very different than 2008, right? We don't have forced sales, we don't have distressed sales, and we have very, very low inventory. And that's really what I want to talk about is our inventory situation. So I printed out a couple charts here. But the first one was just the pricing trend from the FHFA. You can get on their website if you ever want to see what's going on with home prices in Albuquerque. You want to support that stat, you can find that. That's the first page. The second page is a chart right from Southwest MLS, which looks at month's supply of inventory. And if you're not familiar with month's supply of inventory, you should be. That is a great measurement of supply versus demand. What it means is if no homes come on the market, how many months before all the homes are sold at the current sales pace? And if you look at this chart, we go back to 2006, you can see we were very low, and then suddenly we had this huge increase in the number of homes coming on the market. We had this flood of inventory coming on the market. And then, it started to drop and drop and drop. And starting somewhere around 2012, that's when prices started to go back up. But what's happened was, if we go to 2019, we hit about 2.5 months supply of inventory. And from that period, it really started in 2019, home prices really started to accelerate. I mean, we were seeing that, right, Sean, in 2019? We were seeing that in 2019, that home prices were really starting to elevate. And of course, the pandemic and the shortage and everything that happened there really threw gas on the fire. Right now, as we sit today, we're at 1.5 months supply of inventory, which is very, very, very low. And you guys probably have all heard it, right? 6 months supply as a balanced market. Well, we're nowhere near that right now, right? Nowhere close. And so the thing that's very curious about our month supply of inventory right now is we've actually had quite a few new construction homes come into the MLS over the last few months because they're not selling as fast as they were, right, guys? Mm-hmm. So if we look at just resale homes, we actually only have 1.2 months supply of homes in the Albuquerque area that are ready to sell. And just one point on this, I want to point out, if you go back to mid-2007, we hit 7 months supply of inventory. That's when home prices started to go down. They did not go down until we got to 7 months supply. And the curious thing is, in 2012, home prices didn't start climbing until we went past 7 months supply going the other direction. So who knows what it means this time, but we'll see. Okay, so that's that on supply. The next thing is homes for sale. So back there in 2007, 8, this is just the statistical area, so we hit 7,400 homes. And again, today, as we sit, what are we at, 1,500 or so change right now in the market, but that's the entire market. And so we still have a very, very low inventory of homes from a historical standpoint in our market. So that's all I was trying to illustrate there. The next chart that says inventory versus new listing. This is only looking at active inventory. This is not what's sold. And so the green line there, that's the number of new listings coming on the market. And you can see, yes, we peaked out here, and this is 90-day moving average. And so what we've seen is we had that peak there a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, and now it's been pulling back. We're not getting that flood of inventory on the market that so many people were kind of predicting. I don't know where they came up with that, but they were. And the thing that's very curious about that, you can see that blip at the beginning of 2020. We've never recovered. We've never recovered in listing inventory in Albuquerque. We've never come back from that. And again, we were already on a decline going into the pandemic, and that just accelerated. The next chart is the one that has me the most concerned, if I want to say that, and that is the number of new listings, new resale listings coming on the market. This is actually a 12-month rolling average, and you can see in 2007, in that year, we had 29,000 homes come on the market. Right now, at the end of that, right there in October, we're at a pace of 14,000 homes coming on the market. The thing that's interesting, between 2017 there and 2019, let's say, we're getting about 18,000 homes on the market. The reality is, people are staying in their home longer, and they're not selling as fast and as often as they were. And so that's the bleak picture. Just another stat on that: new listings down 21% versus October of 21. It's actually down 26% if you look at just resale homes, not new construction, because we haven't getting new construction into the MLS. And then the last kind of bad news here is, don't expect a sudden surge of a bunch of listings coming on the market. delinquencies and people just not paying their mortgage is at an all-time low right now. I actually heard somebody say in public, out loud, at a realtor event, that they're just waiting for all the short sales to come on the market. And I said, what? Where do you think those are coming from? Homeowners have the best balance sheets they've ever had. There's low delinquency, high credit scores, and really, really low interest rates. I don't know if anybody saw what I posted on Facebook last night, but 60% of the homeowners that have a mortgage in Albuquerque, in New Mexico, are at 4% or lower. What's the chance that those people that have a 4% or lower mortgage are going to give that up to jump up to a 7% mortgage on a house that's now 30% higher than the one they bought 3 years ago? The reality I'm just trying to paint here is that we are not going to have a lot of homes being listed on the market. That is going to continue. At least that's my projection. So anyway, if you're waiting for a flood of listings, or if a buyer's out there waiting for this flood of listings to come on the market, that's just, it's a losing strategy. I just don't see it happening. So the one last, the other chart was just affordability. I just want to talk about that real quick. The very last page here, it's Tracy's favorite, lots of charts and designs and data. This is a really, really great piece of thing. It's actually done by the National Association of Home Builders. Wells Fargo co-sponsors it. And what they do is they call this the Housing Affordability Index. And what it's looking at is what do certain markets cost compared to other markets from a housing standpoint. They're not looking at just home prices, they're also comparing it to the median income of that market. They're also looking at what insurance costs, what taxes cost, right? We all know taxes in Texas, for example, are a lot higher than property taxes in New Mexico. So the reality is affordability is taking a beating. We know that here in Albuquerque. But we're much better than everybody else. If we compare ourselves to the other, let's say comparable markets like Tucson, for example, El Paso, Denver, of course, Colorado Springs we get compared to sometimes. So yes, affordability is bad, but we're still better than others. That makes it feel better. And so the thing is, if you don't have new construction as part of your strategy going forward as a realtor, it needs to be. Because you're not going to have as many choices of homes to sell. You need to know what these builders have. You need to know all the neighborhoods. Like they're all these guys up here right now today, you need to be talking to them. It's like, where are you at? What are your price points in all your different neighborhoods, right? I just came and asked you guys that same question. Like, where are you at? What neighborhoods you have? What are the price points? What's available? You need to know that because you need to be able to articulate that to your clients when they are looking for homes in our market. I think that's all I could say. Anybody have any specific questions before I finish? Did I scare you too much?
No, Mac always has a question.
Yeah, give me a hard one, Mac.
What prevailing 30-year rate do you see a more balanced?
5.5.
5.5?
I think if we get a 5 handle on mortgage rates, and people feel comfortable that home prices aren't going to crash, which I think is going to come this spring, that, okay, I'm going to do it in public. I think we're going to have a hot housing market in the spring.
We'll cheers to that.
I think we're going to be back into multiple offers.
Yeah.
Shoot.
All the salespeople.
Because, so anybody follow Barry Habib on MBS Highway? If you don't, you should be. He's the guru on mortgages. He thinks we could even get back to a 4 handle come Q1, Q2, right? Possible. What Barry Habib, and it's MBS, like mortgage-backed security highway. MBS Highway is his company. There's a whole bunch of reasons why, and I don't have time to go through that. But I think if people can feel comfortable that home prices aren't going to crash, and mortgage rates kind of stabilize a little bit, and the Fed stops trying to kill demand, we can get back to buyers feeling comfortable that it's time to jump back in, or buyers. The reality is, we're still going to sell 12,000 homes in Albuquerque next year, even if it's an awful market. That's 24,000 sides, so just get your fair share.
Yep.
That's all I got.
Thanks, Tico.
Thank you, Tigo, as always.
Was that?
I think it was less. You can keep going.
Felt like 2 minutes.
Okay, let's jump into the rest of our panel here. I'm going to start right here.
Lucky me.
I'm going to ask each of the builders actually to answer this question and tell us. Tigo kind of shared a little bit about how our market has changed or how we can predict it's going to change. So I'd like each of you to share with us a little bit how it's changed for you and what all of us in this room should know in how we approach that change.
Well, I'm not going to go over exactly. No, is it?
Not on? Oh, this one.
Let's try again.
Here. A lot of microphones up here.
Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. All right, how about now? I'm not going to go into all the things that we've heard over the last 2 years. If we have a TV, if you have a radio, we've all heard that there's been supply chain issues. There's been things that have slowed down the build of all of the homes. We've been in a very different market, and it's been very frustrating for all of our mutual clients. And so that's really no shock here. So I won't spend any time on that. But for us as Abrazo Homes, we are a local home builder. So it's going to affect us a little bit differently. But what we've done is we've decided that we're really going to focus on one of our cores, which is relationships. That's one of the things that we can affect that's going to trickle down and really impact our clients in the best way possible. So we've seen a lot of challenges with vendors. Vendors are those are our partners who are the ones who actually put together the home. Without having good partners there, those relationships, if those get strained, you will start seeing that in the outcome of the home. That's going to be something that we'll start seeing as the next couple of years come through. And so for us, we spend a lot of time focusing on those relationships. And I know that sounds super cliche, but if you guys have any knowledge of how important those relationships are with vendors, then you'll really understand why we've spent so much time focusing on that. Now, regarding how it's changed our marketing, how it's changed kind of the mix, whether are we doing more build from the ground up? Are we doing more specs? So we always like to stay real balanced. We never try to ride a real high wave. We never, go real low on it. So we do have a healthy mix of specs that you're going to see. We know that people still need homes. We know that there's going to be people who have to move for whatever circumstance. They need a home today. The only way for them to get a home today is for us to have started a home 12 months ago. So we've been focusing on making sure that we have that good mix. Now, there's going to be those other home buyers who are saying, you know what, I'm a little bit nervous about the 7% interest rate. I still want a new home, and they're going to kind of try to play the market a little bit. And maybe they're going to want to start building today because they know that they've been around long enough. This is going to be cyclical. This is going to end soon. And we will start seeing a little bit more stabilization. And so it makes sense. Why don't we start building today, get in a community that you love, get in an area that you love, in a home that you love, and then we'll see what happens with interest rates. I know that a lot of us like to use the whole phrase, date the rate, marry the home. I mean, really, that's the truth, though. You're not going to be married to that rate forever. So it's really going to be important that we educate our home buyers that there are different options, and it just really depends on what their goal is at the end.
Yeah. No, so that is, in a nutshell, that's exactly what's going on for all of us, I think. One of the challenges I'll talk about that we're facing, and my sales team up there, we talk about this regularly over probably the last two or 3 months, and that's understanding the customers they walk in, and how are we going to get that sale, right? The challenge for us, say 2 years ago, 18 months ago, was the education of the public regarding costs, right? Everybody was still calling and saying, hey, I'm looking for a house at 150. Well, cool, so are we, you know. And so it was educating, and we used you guys. You guys were valuable in us teaching people that new homes don't start at 150 anymore. That new home construction starts at 300,000 plus or minus, right? That it's a different market. And so now I think the challenge that we overcame that, and now the challenge that we have in our sales offices is that the sale has changed. For the last 2 to 3 years, everybody walked in and they were driven by the value of interest rates, the cost of money, the pressures of demand, right? If I don't buy this house today, that lot's gone tomorrow. If I don't buy that spec home today, it's gone in an hour. And we saw that over and over. And so it was a different approach to working with the customer when they walked in. And now, in 6 months, the evolution of the sale is back to what those of us that are old and been around this, it's to what we know. We are now selling to emotion, right? We're selling because they're having a child and they need a bigger house. They're downsizing because they planned their retirement for the end of 2022. All of those emotional attachments to buying a home, that's what we're selling to. And reshifting ourselves, retraining ourselves, and working with you guys to handle that. We're not going to sell a house on the first trip in, likely these days. It is building that relationship, overcoming those objections and understanding that stuff. And I think that's a big way we need to partner with you guys. Get to know the buyer, work together to understand what those emotional ties to buying a new home are. And that's the challenge for us now in redirecting how we sell.
Thanks. Yeah, and to tie onto the emotion of that, we're teaching our team now for the last 2 or 3 years. We haven't had to necessarily understand the needs of the buyer because people were frantically buying whatever they could come in and buy. Now we're getting our team back to reaching out to the customer and understanding, why are you moving? There's a reason somebody chooses to move in this market. There's still a bunch of needs-based buyers that have a reason, whether they're upsizing, downsizing, whatever is driving that. And it's our team's goal and need to find that out and then solve that for them. Tie our home to that need and help them solve that problem with it. So I just continue to remind my team that there are still many, many people. One need a year ago was a relocation to Albuquerque, so that still happens for a lot of people. So to discover that need and then meet it and solve it for them. But they've got to spend time with them in the models, they've got to spend time with them on the home sites, out in the spec homes, and make sure that that solves that need. The other thing is just our team has to learn in today's market how to present financing. Mm-hmm. They need to understand that. They need to be able to value in the price and the payment for the customer. So we're back to that, and then personalizing our spec homes to where they compete with the resale market. So we're putting in move-in packages where they've got washer, dryer, fridges, and even some have backyard landscapes. So if somebody's shopping resale, they come to our house. It's a very similar appearance to what they're looking at.
Not to beat a dead horse here, because you guys already answered all the questions. But, so I think one of the big things right now is, that we haven't touched on, is incentives. So one of the big things we're seeing right now that has changed a lot is incentives for every single buyer in terms of how unique we can set up a certain scenario to make things work. Because not everybody needs, for example, appliances, right? Not everybody needs closing costs. So I think the big thing here is, going back to kind of touching what everybody said, is really understanding everybody's motive for moving and how we can actually take everybody's unique situation and help them move forward on it.
So can you guys expand a little bit on that incentive piece? I know, one of the things obviously we're all facing is the rise in interest rates, and I know several of you have done some creative stuff with incentives to make that rate come down a little bit for some of our buyers. So are any of you offering those, and can you talk about how you're using some of those incentives for rates?
Oh, incentives, this dirty little word. Well, this is coming from a local home builder. It's going to be very different depending on the type of builder. Okay, so it's not apples to apples when you're working with a builder. There's going to be very specific niches, right? I was talking with Tigo a little bit before this. It's kind of like everybody in this room, everybody's a doctor, right? But everybody's going to specialize in something specific. So you may have a heart surgeon, or you may have somebody who focuses on feet. Everybody is a doctor, but it's going to be very specific as to where they're going to be able to fit certain needs. For local home builders, it's going to be a little bit different. We have different business model. And so, yes, you may hear big incentives from a different home builder who can offer that. For local, and I'll speak obviously for Abrazo Homes, we have always priced very specific to our value. And so there's always going to have to be a certain profit margin that's made to stay in business and to continue to have a future in new communities. But at the end of the day, we know that it's very important to help out and give those clients something that makes them feel that it's special and unique if they do come and work with us. And so right now, what we've really done is we've been focusing on making sure, again, that we educate on what's going to be most helpful for them. Sometimes that's not going to be a discount on a home. Sometimes in a market like right now, it's going to be helping them understand why maybe buying down discount points, or if we talk about a creative way to put together a loan for them, whether it's an ARM, which a lot of us haven't had to talk about for years, whether it's locking in rates for them now, whether, again, we talk about, do they need appliances? Do they need cash down for their down payment? Again, it's really going to have to be needs-based versus it just being a blanket incentive across the board. And we do have a lot of buyers still in the market right now. Maybe it's less than it used to be, but that's why we have to treat every single one of them individually and really come up with a creative plan for them. And that's how we can work together with you as partners in that.
Yeah, we're the same way at Westway with regards to our incentives. I want to know what you need. Don't call me and say, hey, what can you do for my buyer? Tell me, hey, my buyer needs this, and I will meet you there, right? We'll get to where you need. We'll figure out how to get your buyer in a home. So let us know what that buyer needs. That's incredibly important. When we have people walk into our sales offices, tell me what you need, right? Let me work with you. Don't throw it out to me, because if you throw it to me, you're probably going to get an answer you don't like, right? But if you start with, hey, here's what we need, man, I'm ready to sell a house, and I'm going to get you there, right? I'm going to get as close as I can to getting you there. I think that's important. Ann asked about the rate buy downs, and there are some really cool products. And I think hopefully this time, more so than in the early 2000s, we have control over what happens with mortgages and the products that are offered. I think that's important. Hopefully we're much smarter about that stuff. But as Sheena mentioned, work with your lenders. ARMs are back, right? I'm hearing ARMs in the high 4s, low 5s, 5s and 10s. So look at that. We had a program offered to us at a national builders show where we locked in all of our specs that we have complete right now. I have them locked in at 6.375. So we can get your buyers in at 6.375. And who'd have thought a year ago that we'd be celebrating that, right? But here we are, and so I can do that. And if you come to me and say, hey, your house is listed at $599 at 6.375, they really need to be at $599, I'll figure out how to get them to $599. But don't come to me and say, hey, we need to be at $599 and the house for $599, I need it at $525. I can't do both, right? It's so understand where we come from, and if we work together, we can get your buyers in a home.
Yeah, agreed. And on our same situation, it's our team's really responsibility to talk to the buyer and find out what they really need. Are they more price sensitive or are they more payment sensitive? If it's payment sensitive, you can really accomplish a lot on a rate, a lot more on a payment actually than you can with a price reduction. So the same money you put towards a rate buy down gets you significantly more than you would get with the price reduction. So just teaching our team that, trying to educate the consumer on that, and then get them to where they're comfortable with the payment they can live with. And also realizing that, like we were talking about, the rates are probably going to change. So if you're comfortable with that payment today, it's probably going to get better a year or two from now, whenever that changes. And I think it's just a great opportunity to remind consumers right now, when we were looking for a home 6-7 months ago, everybody was offering over list price, and as we were driving to homes, they would go pending on my phone to where we couldn't even get them. So I mean, what an opportunity right now. There is inventory. They can shop a few places, not feel the panic to make an emergency offer, and then still probably have the benefit of lower rates a year or two from now, whatever we think. So I think in some ways it's a great market and opportunity. We just have to educate the consumers on that and show them what we've got.
So I think the big thing that we have as a national builder is we kind of take a look at what the common denominator is, and what we do is we try and tailor it to that. So we may not be as flexible to tailor it to each individual's need, but for example, we offer what's called a BFC rate, which offers typically a couple points underneath what current market rates are. So that's a huge one just because that's the common denominator right now, right? Is these interest rates are a little too high and I don't have as much buying power as I did 6 months ago, 8 months ago. So that helps everybody out a ton. And so even though it's not as flexible or as lenient one way or another, it actually helps out a lot in terms of getting these buyers a little bit more house or helping them qualify for something. So that's a big thing there is us as a national builder, we can offer that just because we can go through and you can buy these big lump sums of money and offer them nationwide, not just here locally. That's a big thing there.
And can I add one?
Absolutely.
So look, we've talked a lot right now about, you know, incentives, price off, interest rates. The real incentive for new home construction is what you get, right? You don't get a used home where somebody's used that toilet before.
They're a resale home, they're not used.
Only on that bar stool, right? On these bar stools, they're used homes, right? So, like, you don't, right? You get new. You get the latest in energy efficiency, the latest in appliances, the latest in, you know, entry systems on your front door. All of those things, right? Those are what's really important. And if we focus the message on the value of what they're getting in new construction, my experience, and not just some BS marketing line to you guys or whatever, my experience is that overcomes interest rates. That overcomes the prices, the amount of time they have to wait to pick their own paint color, to pick their own tile color, to get the newest, most energy efficient, all of that stuff to have brand new. That's the real incentive to new construction.
Great point, thank you. So we kind of talked about this a little bit, so I just want to, before we move on, I want to see if any of you have anything to add. And I know JP and Will, you kind of talked a little bit about how you guys are having to change your sales strategy. And I think we're having to do that too, right? So I always say, my team probably gets tired of hearing it, is that unicorns are not real, and neither are unicorn houses. There is no such thing as a perfect house. And in the last few years, our buyers gave up a lot, right? They would make a lot of concessions. Oh, okay, we really wanted this, but we'll take this. Because they didn't have a choice. And right now they do. So we're able to, and not a big choice, Tico just pointed out, our inventory is still very low. But they have a little bit more choices out there. And so, you know, we've been able to change our sales strategy or how we talk to our buyers about what their options are. And I know you guys are doing the same thing. You're changing your sales strategy and you're changing how you're talking to the consumer on the sales floor. Do any of you have anything else you want to add on that topic before we move on?
So I think one of the big things, I just got back from visiting our division in San Antonio yesterday. They're actually excited that the market slowed down a little bit, right? Because touching on what we were talking about earlier, we now have to sell from a point of time. And what I mean by that is we have a little bit more time to spend with the client and give them the actual time of day that they deserve. Whereas before it was very transactional, right? So just to give you an example, I sold out Los Diamantes. At any given time, we had an interest list of 15 to 30 people to where we make 6 phone calls and we're selling 6 houses, right? In a matter of minutes. So it was very, very transactional to where now we can take a step back and actually give the people the time of day that they deserve and actually sell from a point of building rapport. And when we have to deliver hard messages, that message is a little bit easier to deliver because you now have that relationship with your buyer. So we have the big one that I kind of took away from the San Antonio division as well.
Great, thanks for adding that. Anyone else? Good. Okay, so of course, one big question we as agents all have for you is how do we register our clients to ensure our commission is protected? And how do you work with realtors during the process? Will, you want to start?
Sorry.
Let's start at the phone.
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay. So registering a buyer is very, very easy. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can call myself or anybody on my team. What they'll do is they'll register them in our internal CRM. Now, I like paper trail just because if you call me and you say, hey, can you register ABC? Well, I might get pulled in 17 different directions to where I forget. And so if you can send in buyer's information, first name, last name, email, and phone number, there's a paper trail of it to where we can go back and even if we forget, we can register them in our system. That's a big one. I think the other thing too is if you guys prep your buyers before they walk into a model, it's huge, right? If you guys set those proper expectations to where you say, hey, if you walk into a new construction market or model home, they're gonna ask you to fill out a reg card. Fill it out, put my name on there. And the big thing there too is, I get so many buyers, I just got off the sales floor, that ask me, hey, am I the one that has to pay the realtor commission? And the answer is no, right? So going back to preparing them and having those good conversations before they walk in, so that way the expectation is actually set. I think it's a big one, but yeah, registering is very easy, guys. You can send in their information and they're attached to you in our CRM. The big thing is if you have them to where they're gonna go to a couple different communities, you wanna register them in every single community because they don't go just into our system and then get registered across the board. It's tailored to what type of stuff they're looking for, so that's a big one.
Yeah, for us, it's very similar. The simplest answer would be to contact our online sales specialist, which if you call any of our communities, or if you go on our website on the front page, Tiffany's number's on there. That's a very simple way to contact her, schedule an appointment for your client, and have them come out. But she can register them at whatever communities you want to. And then obviously you can walk in and register the way we've done for years with your client up front.
Yeah, I think we're all real similar. I'm going to speak for everybody, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. The value of working with brokers is significant to us. For our team at Westway, we talk all the time about our ratio of broker deals to non-broker deals, and we want 50% of them to come from brokers, right? If we sell 20 houses in a month, 10 of them better be from brokers. Because if we did 15 walk-ins and 5 brokers, to me, we left business on the table. We weren't working with you guys enough. So we value that. And nobody works harder to bring in qualified leads than you guys do, right? We spend money to get walk-ins into our models. You spend money to get your buyer leads, to qualify them, and then to get their ass in a vehicle and drive them to our model home. I value that a ton. So we want to work with you and pay you. Again, registration for us, all of our phone numbers come to my phone. You can text me, buyer's name, your name, where they're going. Within minutes of me getting that, my whole team will get it and they'll all hit you up. Hey, here's our address. What are you looking for? What do you need? We're ready, right? And that's one easy way. All of our spec inventory is in the MLS. You can schedule a showing via showing time, automatically registers you that way. And then you call me and say, hey, they're gonna go in, I can't make it, or I can make it, and we got you, right? You're registered with that buyer. So really, reach out, be involved early, right? And for us, sometimes there are cases where somebody comes in and you don't know about it, and then they contact you and they're like, hey, we're talking to Westway, we already picked a lot. Call me, we'll figure it out, right? We're not gonna ax you out of that deal. Call me and let's talk about it, but don't call me 2 days before closing, right? Call me right away.
So it's going to be very similar. We have what we like to call our new home matchmaker, because Blair is back there, and a lot of people ask if she's real. She is. She's a real person. But what's awesome is I'm sure a lot of you actually here have already talked with Blair. She's extremely responsive. If we have any inquiry online, if there's a phone call, if there's a text message, literally everything is filtered through Blair if it comes online or through the phone. The reason why that's so fantastic is that you guys don't have to go to every single community, make sure that you've spoken to every single sales agent and make sure that they're registered there. She's gonna make sure that that's handled for you, and it's an all-in-one system for us. So what we like to say is if you are working with a client, just shoot over an email, just shoot over a text and let us know, hey, I'm working with these clients, they may or may not come in, I told them about you. Really the biggest issue for home builders, and this is, I think, and I'm gonna just bring up the taboo topic because a lot of people just don't want to talk about it. They'll talk about it on this side and then this side, but then nobody ever comes together and really talks about it, is that for a home builder, the reason why we want to work and pay an agent is because they had a client that they came and brought to us, and that's the reason why they purchased with us. We'll pay all day for that. Those are the type of relationships and partnerships that we want. The hard part is, I think Tigo said that we had about 4,400 realtors here in New Mexico, just in Albuquerque.
In GAAR.
Oh, okay, in GAAR. So if we had, everybody has friends and they have cousins, and they have whoever, and they have a relationship. At any one point, somebody can come in and say, oh, well, that's my client. So at what point do we have to protect ourselves as a builder? And then the same for you guys. So let's just make it super simple. Let's have this conversation so you guys understand where we're coming from. And let's make it really, really easy for you to register them with us. And again, come out with your client. Even if you're not with your client, let us know that they're coming out. We'll make sure that you're taken care of and we can have those conversations. And also too, just to kind of make that topic go a little bit further, is that depending on what backlog you have and how many clients you have that you're working with, new home construction can kind of handle that and cultivate that relationship once that contract is in place. So it gives you time to work with some of your other clients who may need some more time because they haven't found a new home yet. So there's a lot of benefits there, but I do understand that there is that sentiment that you'll get cut out of the deal, and we definitely don't want that to be the deal. It's not you versus us. We need to work together as partners.
Yeah, just real quick, if I can add something to what JP said. We seek out our realtor relationships. Our team is out a couple times a month delivering things to realtor offices, trying to speak at your meetings. I just checked today, our last 12-month broker participation is 60% for Pulte homes. So some of those might be 40%, some might be 70%. So those that are 40, we actually encourage our agents to reach out and raise that to a higher number. So it's completely opposite of trying to eliminate you. We do all we can to have you in our offices and bring us qualified customers.
So just real quick, how many of you have sold a new home before? That's definitely more than 60% of you. So I just want to add real quick, you know, I sold new homes for 14 years. Out of those years, guess how many of those buyers came back and bought more than one house from me? One. That doesn't happen. You've moved on to another community. I mean, I sold from Santa Fe to Las Lunas. Those buyers don't travel with their new home agents, but you do, okay? So when I was in new homes, my consumer was not my buyer. It is you. So know your new home reps. They love you. Build relationships with them. Get to know them because you are their consumer. You're important to them. So, and secondly, real quick, Sheena mentioned, kind of taboo. We don't want to cut you out of the deal, but it's not always on the builder to protect your commission. It is also on you. I see a lot of offers, and how many of them have checked the box, I have a buyer-broker agreement? Very few of them. It is a mandatory thing in my office on my team. Every single buyer signs a buyer-broker agreement. There is no question as to whether or not that customer is mine. They are my client now, and I can take that document into the builder and say, this is my client. We signed this a month ago, right? So you need to do your part in helping that and get your buyers to sign buyer-broker agreements. I know that's not what this is on, but it's important.
Step off the soapbox.
So that just triggered me into another thought that is something that's different in new home construction is NMAR forms, right? I had a back and forth with a broker the other day telling me that certain NMAR forms are required by law, right? And it's not the NMAR, and so we all use our own contracts and they cover much of the same stuff. And so that's always a question. And trust that we are all licensed in ourselves and we make sure we take care of our license. But for instance, the property tax disclosure, that form is not required by law. The act of disclosing the property taxes is what's required by law. We all do that. We don't do it through the NMAR form, right? But we go through the act of disclosing. So understand that there's differences in those processes too. We all have our own contracts. We won't use most of the NMAR forms. There's occasions that we do. But that's one difference that I think is important to understand when you're selling new home construction.
Absolutely. Thanks for adding that. All right. So I know Chico talked about it a little bit, is, how many more specs, builders spec homes we have sitting in the MLS listed as inventory. A couple of you guys talked about that a little bit, is that your specs have increased for one reason or another. You have some more standing inventory where that wasn't the case in the last couple of years. So I know each of you has a different answer here, but can you share with us a little bit on how you might negotiate on specs? Do you allow buyers to make offers on those, or are they pretty set firm in the price they're listed in the MLS?
I'll take that one first. 6 months ago, man, you were paying what we had it out, right? Now there's a little more flexibility in different ways. We've touched on how we all have different incentives. It's very different. What I can do is far different than what Will can do, just because our financial backings are different, right? Like, we have different corporate structures. So it is very particular. For us, specs on the ground, absolutely. But again, I want to work with a pro when we have that kind of situation, when you have a buyer that identifies one of our homes. The question shouldn't be, what can you do for them? The question is, you should come to us and say, hey, here's where they're at. Can we do this? They need this, this, and this. Now we're having a productive conversation, and I know where you guys are at, and I can see how far I can get to, right? And what is that? It's different for every customer. Some of them, it's a refrigerator, washer, dryer, and blinds. Some of them, it's a $10,000, $12,000 point buy down, right? Some of them, it's a combination of those things. Some of them, it may be some way to get a price reduction, right? So prepare yourselves when you come in to have those conversations on specs. My suggestion is, be a pro, right? Be a pro. Come in with ideas. How can we get what your buyer needs? Don't ask me what I can do for your buyer. Because again, if you leave it up to me, the answer is not going to be liked, because I'm going to start at the bare minimum, right? And then we start being contentious. Come to me and tell me, hey, this is what they need, and we can work it out.
Yeah, I would add that it depends on what stage the spec home is at. You know, from a builder's perspective, we expect to pay for that home until it's completed and final. So a home at frame stage may not have the same discount as one that's fully complete, because once it's done, we really don't want to continue paying for it. It's not what we budgeted for. So much like a home that has a lot of days on market, we analyze our final inventory more and try to price it aggressively to the market to move it and make it appealing to the consumer. So that's the main thing, I think, is just understanding what you're coming in, asking for negotiation. We try to price it competitively to the market the way it is, but we're obviously open to moving things around, whether it's, again, back to your buyer needing, do they need a payment, they need a price, what do they need? And so we try to personalize negotiations to that.
Yeah, so touching on what Will said, I would say we're in the same boat. So depending on what stage the home is in, we're absolutely at this point in time looking and entertaining all offers. The big thing is expect a counter, right? I'll give you guys an example. Right before I came here, I had a realtor call me, and they said, hey, this house is already discounted $46,000, can we get an additional $30,000? And because that's $76,000 off of a home. So what I tell all my agents to do is list these homes full pop in MLS and then go in and drop the price. That way when you guys click on the history tab, what it does is it shows you how much we've already come down on this home, right? And so a lot of people come in and they think, well, this is our starting point when we've already discounted our home X amount of dollars, right? So just, proper expectation, expect a counter offer, and be a little reasonable, kind of like what JP said, let's work together to make a deal work. And we're a for-profit company, so where we still have to make money as well. And we have to do what's best for the builder, just like you guys have to do what's best for your buyer.
So we're maybe a little bit different here, and this is where I was saying all builders are not going to be apples to apples. So when we are listing a price for a spec home, it's going to be based on the value. We know all the numbers that go into it, and that's where it may be a little bit different than resale, is that this is market value, what we had to pay, what it cost us to build this home. And there's a certain amount of profit that has to go in there, right? Now, again, it does really matter across the board, though, with builders. How long has that home been sitting there? There are carrying costs that go along with that. But we also take that into consideration. And a lot of the times, if we're going to make any adjustments on the price, we're going to do that proactively. And so it's not going to necessarily be the same as where we'd expect you to come in and make an offer. Let's just have a conversation again first, but this is the price of the home. I kind of like to equate it to, you don't go in to buy a shirt and say, let's negotiate on this. If you're going in to purchase that shirt, the shirt has a price with it. But again, let's talk about it. Let's figure out what your buyer's needs are on it. But just also understand that we truly did spend a lot of time figuring out what the value was in that home, and that's why we price it the way that we do.
Actually, I just had a question along that lines. How much move-in ready inventory do you guys have just sitting right now? Just rapid fire, mid-November 2022. What do you guys say? You got much?
Yeah, I've got 8 units that we can
Okay.
move into.
You got Sheena?
Approximately 8.
Okay, well,
About 30 and more on the.
okay. And you're in Santa Fe too, though, too. Does that include Santa
From
Fe?
Los Lunas to Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say we have a handful of moving units. The biggest ones are gonna be down north to south, so Spire, Las Lunas, those areas.
Doug, what do you guys got? Put him on the spot. He was trying to do it. So Twilight. Yeah, Twilight, 8, 10, something like that. So there is inventory in Albuquerque. That's my point. I mean, 6 months ago, that didn't exist, right?
No.
No.
Yeah, that's new. You know, this is more move-in ready than we've had in years.
2 years.
I think, right? And beyond that, I think that's ready to go in the next 30 days. We probably have 30 units that'll be ready in the next 60 days, right?
Yeah, same.
So we're approaching this by getting inventory going. It's not, the mindset can be to hide, I think, right now, but I think everybody has been very proactive about this, eager for the spring, like Tigo said. I think he promised.
No, not what I said.
We
But, you know,
have it recorded.
Yeah, I think we're eager for that spring recovery, and I think our mindset has to be both as companies, as individuals who sell and try to make a living in this industry, we have to be ready, right?
So just along that, I mean, the city of Albuquerque's got this big push for more housing units, right? They're talking rentals as well as homes. We have a shortage of housing units in the greater Albuquerque area. There's no doubt about it, right? And you know, we can't just build our way out of it, but we do need more homes. And as soon as things stabilize, I think, anyway.
Well, and the inventory, right? We fought the inventory problem forever.
And it hasn't gone away.
Yeah, how many lots, you know, we're looking at in the next 18 months, probably 300 lots. That's 300 units we can sell. You know, what are you guys bringing on?
Oh, probably this year we've got about 700.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say somewhere around there. There's 6 active communities right now with probably a handful more coming on, so.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be along more the lines of Westway on the amount of lots, so it's going to be more around 300.
That's over 2,000 units, right? In 24 months.
It's still not enough.
Yeah. But it's more than will get
Yeah.
listed on the resale market.
Thank you.
They just really want to rub that in, just making sure you guys get the point.
All right, I'm taking back over here. Okay, so I sold new homes in 06, 07, 08 when the market was really crashing last time. And one of the things that we faced on the sales floor as a big objection from people who were either already under contract or coming in, possibly thinking about it, is this fear of, what if I buy and prices go down? What if I buy and all of a sudden, you know, we crash more and you drop prices 30,000 and I'm upside down already? And we're hearing that again a little bit. I'm sure your agents are too. So can you share with me, Sheena, if you want to go first, how are you handling that objection?
No collusion conversations.
Well, I will say that this is a little bit easy for Abrazo Homes. I understand that not everybody's going to follow our whole story from the time of when we started. But we've had this conversation. It is tied to incentives for us, and at least our philosophy in it. Again, I'll go back to this. We price our homes based on the value. And we've always made sure that we protect all of our home buyers' values. And that includes those who purchased with us before. So the biggest thing that we've always wanted to get across is that if we have buyer A come in, they purchase the first home, and then we have a few more buyers, well then we need to go ahead and move those homes really fast. We're not going to give buyer C, D, and E $45,000 off because we know that that's going to impact our first buyers in there. We know that that has a big impact on the community in general. We want to keep the value of our homes up in our communities. And so it's always been one of our biggest priorities to do that and to make sure that we're we're protecting that. If we ever do make any sort of adjustments to prices, it's not going to be the exact same product. We will make differences in the homes. It will be a different level of flooring, a different level of carpet. I mean, there are going to be differences where we are able to maybe, take a cut on some of the materials that are going in so that we can make that price difference. But it's not going to be apples to apples for our home buyers, and we want to make sure that we protect those values. And it's been that way before the pandemic, it's been that way during the pandemic, and it's going to be that way all the way through the time that Abrazo is building.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback. Brian and Mac, I absolutely commend for that kind of value in their company, and it's one of the things I think that Mike Feeds, who owns Westway, has taken. And I think that's part of our responsibility as local companies, local builders, right? Our salespeople work in those communities, and there's no way we can sell a home to one person and then discount it down 50 to the next person that walks through. So we really, that's not something that we will do similar. Now we'll find incentives, how we can do it and protect their values. And so that's important to us. But we all come from different places, right? We're managed and run in different ways. So, but that is a value that I think we second, and it's something I admire Mac and Brian for quite a bit.
Yeah, I think one thing to keep in mind is, to Tigo's point, we're hoping for a really great spring. I don't feel like we're on a super deep path headed down to lower prices significantly. Maybe the appreciation slows more than we have decreases on that. An example of that is back in April of 2020 in Arizona, I was managing a number of communities, and I had people calling me as soon as they had the panic of COVID hitting. They told me, like, you've got to lower my price 30%. I'm sure they're going down 30%. And I was like, we're just going to wait and see what happens and evaluate it. So we didn't make any changes in that. And obviously we all know what happened. Home prices doubled over the next 2 years of that time frame. So I don't think there's any room to panic on that, but we don't know what happens. As a public builder, we do have to sell homes, so we have to evaluate that when it comes about and make decisions then. But we usually discuss it with backlog and evaluate it at that time.
I think to Tigo's point earlier, I think historically, housing prices will continue to go up, and I don't know if I'm well versed on that, at any given point in time. But also, like Tigo said earlier, if you bought in 06, you're kind of screwed, right, for lack of better terms. But what's happening now is going back and selling the value.
Only if you didn't sell it for 12 years.
Right.
Exactly. There you go. So that was kind of going to be my next point is, right now, there's not a lot of people that buy a brand new home and they sell it 6 months later, right? Although I have somebody doing that in one of my communities and they're upset because they're not making any money. But that's the whole point, right, is you don't buy a brand new home to dump it 6 months later. So you're going to buy a house, you're going to stay in it for, I don't know what the average is, maybe 7 years. And so in 7 years, there's a lot of stuff that can change. So I think continuing to sell the value is going to be huge. I had somebody call me and say, hey, I can't sell my exit home for what I want to sell it for, so you have to drop your price $30,000. Right? Well, we're not going to do that, right? We're going to evaluate it on a case-by-case basis, but that's not something that we're going to do immediately. It's something that we're going to evaluate, sell the value on the home, and tell you why this is worth what you're paying for.
So is that what your sales force is saying to the consumer, is we evaluate it on a case-by-case basis?
Yes and no. So we're going to look at everything, right? Right now it's a different market to where, like I said earlier, we're willing to look at any and all offers that come through. And so if it means keeping a buyer on paper, will we look at it? I mean, absolutely. But is it something that we can do on every single time? Absolutely not.
And of course, all of us are hoping that doesn't happen, but we know that our consumers have that fear, right?
Well, and if I can just add one more thing too, this is another big piece that we have to do a really, really good job at educating our home buyers. They're hearing all of the headlines, and of course, the headlines need to be flashy, they need to be exciting, they need to strike the fear so that people listen and jump on the bandwagon. But this is not the same as 2008, 2009. So we're, just like Tigo said, we have an extremely strong balance statement for all of America, really, for the majority, right? We have very strong buyers. The buyers that have purchased were not fake buyers like what we saw in 2008. They have the credit, they have the income, they have all the right pieces to be able to sustain the homes that they purchased. And they were qualified at a much more stringent process than we've ever seen before too.
Just a point, I heard a quote on this, I thought it was great, and it was, we have a housing crisis. The housing crisis we have is information on the housing market. That's the crisis that we have. And it's our job to be the ones to tell people that, you know, that reel that they saw on Instagram about the big housing crash that's coming probably isn't true, right? So just, you know, we have to be the ones letting people know that, okay, well, I did a thing on rent. So rents are up, whatever, 15% over last year. So, I mean, you gotta live somewhere.
And 7% interest is still better than 100%.
Indeed.
So true.
And about pricing, being new construction, it takes us 10 months to build a home. So if you drop prices halfway through that opens yourself up to a lawsuit from the person that's building 10 months ago to the one that just signed that contract today. It's also integrity of the builder not to drop pricing.
Thank you. Okay, so before we move on to open the floor up for questions, I have one more question for each of you. I know each of you offers something different, and so I'd love for each of you to share with us something about your company that allows you to stand out from the other builders.
Game on.
I'll go
You
first.
all have something different that you offer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go first. For me, this is a two-part answer. And I'll start with my sales team up there. I really feel strongly, Max, I caught him walking down the stairs. I feel like we have really tried to do something different, and I have a ton of respect, and I think a lot of our value in our company is what we do in our sales offices, so that is my starting point for that. But I think as a product, what we put out there, Mike Feets, when he started Westway, he had a very clear vision of what he wanted us to be. He allowed me some really great input based on my sales experience. And what we will sell the most is that when you walk into one of our model homes, that is the home your customer is going to buy at the base price. Our model homes typically have $8,000 to $12,000 in upgrades, and it's 4 or 5 things. And I can point them out to you as we walk through, and it's tangible. Everything else in our house is what your customer is going to get. And so we really use that as our sales tool, as something that comforts the buyer's mind, something that's easy as a tool for you guys to have that discussion after you leave, when you meet with them to go over their options. Well, remember, everything you saw in that house except for those couple things, that's what you get. And we've really used that to distinguish ourselves in the market. And Monique is here. Monique was with us at the very beginning. She sold with us, and we didn't do that in her very first model. And we got excited about our first model, and we closed that model down and opened a new one because we wanted it to fit what we do. And now when you go see all of these guys, Antisha has a model home at Sage and 98 that has 0 upgrades. And it is a beautiful home. It is an absolutely beautiful home. And that buyer can walk in and see what $314,000 gets them. Exactly, right? And so that's always been our differentiating characteristic, things that we're really proud of. And it makes it easy for us to communicate with you and your buyers.
Yeah, I think about Pulte, something that's really stood out to me. I worked for a number of builders over the 22 years that I've been in new homes, but I've always felt like Pulte built a unique product. They also, what's not as common anymore is you can personalize every aspect of that home. Our design team is here and play a big role in that for us, but probably the most unique are just the communities that we build and the communities that we are in. In this market, Loma, Colorado is one that's out there now that's a very significant community. Our Muirhaven Del Webb product is really outstanding. We put a lot of time and effort into the design of the communities and what amenities are going to be in them. I'm always amazed with my land team how much time they spend on designing the layout of the land, the layout of the home sites, the parks and amenities that'll be in there, and they really look at it from an aspect of who's going to live here and what do they want to enjoy and what's their life going to be like. Because we're doing so much more than just building a home for them. We're building a lifestyle for them where they're going to raise their kids, raise their family, and grow. So that's probably the key part that I really enjoyed with this company, both in Arizona and New Mexico, just the effort and time that goes into the design of the homes, the layouts of them, but especially the communities as well.
So I think for D.R. Horton, we're primarily a spec builder, and so what we do is all pre-planned inventory. So what that does is basically we go through, we pick a floor plan, we pick the color schemes, and we pick all the finishes inside of it, which is great for two things. So it helps with time frame and how fast we can build them. So like right now, for example, it takes about 6 to 7 months to build a home from the ground up, which is great if you guys have somebody looking that needs to get a home within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, we can make that happen. And the other thing is price point. So since we do pick everything inside, interior finishes can't be changed at all. And so since there's only 1 to 4 different color palettes, what we do is we can buy everything in bulk, and then any savings that we get, we can pass on to the consumer. And that's what makes D.R. Horton different, is we're primarily a spec builder, allowing time frame and then pricing as well.
Well, I guess we saved the best for last. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Only because we were afraid.
Only because Brian and Mac are sitting up there, so.
Well, I will definitely say our number one difference and our biggest difference is going to be our people. As you can see, we love to represent everywhere we go, but that also means that we represent all the way through the entire build for your clients and for our clients. One of the things that I really wanted to point out, though, is that we haven't touched on at all is warranty. We really focus on the fact that once you have purchased with us, that relationship does not end the day that money gets transferred. Your clients are going to be taken care of with us. Yes, there's going to be some things that we have to work through. We work through vendors. There's going to be some hiccups there. But at the end of the day, we truly care about the people who build with us, and they become part of our family. Obviously, we're going to do things a little bit differently when it comes to how we build, in that we put together some gorgeous floor plans, great layouts based on what people are looking for, and then we have different options that they can choose from. So although it's not custom, we always try to cut out that word custom because people have this idea of what custom looks like, but we do have flexibility in different structural options that they can put together and piece together that's going to work best for their lifestyle or their family. The other biggest thing, honestly, too, is the owners of our company. They have been in New Mexico their whole lives, and they really care about the community. And when you care about the community that you're building in, you're going to make different choices, and those are going to be ones that are good for everybody and all your partners along the way.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so we wanted to leave a little bit of time to open it up to all of you to ask questions to all of us up here. So we left the last 30 minutes for that. And then we will open it up for an hour of happy hour.
I don't have a question.
Jorge here has volunteered to walk around and bring you the microphone so you can ask questions, and we'll just open it up to all of you.
First, give it up to the panel. They did a great job, right? The first question I got, the app was Fidelity Agent 1. It's free.
That's not a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I got the mic.
Doug.
I don't need a mic. One thing I want to say to the agents here, everybody's the fear of, is this the right time to buy? As a builder, this is the right time to buy, because when the housing market was booming, what were your clients' incentives? When you called us, we said, we have a house for you. That was the incentive. Now, value-wise, whether it's buy-down rates, whether it's price, whether it's packages, this really is the time to buy because it's the best value for your client.
That was not a question, but thank you.
We love you,
I know that
Doug.
we offered a lot of good information up here, but we definitely didn't answer it all, so come on.
No, while Jorge's going up there, to tag on to Doug, what he was saying, I moved to Albuquerque. I moved back here in 2001, 2002, right at the turn of the year. I was ecstatic at 7.25%, right? My mortgage in 2002 was 7.25%. And I think our job and our responsibility, again, I go back to being a pro, is to control the narrative, right? Take it off the interest rate talk and put it in the value of what they're getting and that emotional tie to the new home.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to all the panelists, and thank you, Ann and everybody for all your help. I actually have a question for Tigo. We're talking a lot today about new versus resale, and we looked at a lot of the data tied to the resale market, but I've heard some reports about the average age of the housing stock in Albuquerque. Can you tell us, like, if someone's buying, what's the average age of the house that's being purchased, and if you buy new, how many more years are you buying of usable life of that product?
Wow. Brian, I know a lot of data, but that one I don't know. I think the reality is there is a lot of homes in Albuquerque that are kind of tired, right? We had a big housing boom, in the 50s, right? Especially in the kind of near Northeast Heights. So there are a lot of, older homes out there. And so the question is going to be now, people are going to go, okay, do I remodel this, 1,050 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, or do I move out to Rio Rancho? Do I move out, to Los Lunas, or do I, get to that new home? So I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what the data says. It is available though. I haven't read that. Yeah. So anyway, it's I do think with the low mortgage rates that people have, and the fact that yes, we do have older housing stock, I think there is going to be a lot of remodeling going on too. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to upgrade in place, as they say. That's a term that's out there these days. I think we're going to see more of that.
Design changes coming, styles of homes, price points of homes. Are you looking at the market a little bit differently than you were a couple of years ago?
Well, that is a really good question. I will say, though, we have been working on different designs over the last couple of years. If you followed Abrazo since we started, we had the traditional northern New Mexico style home, and in the past couple of years, we have been working on different product styles so that we really can feed the appetite of different home buyers. So we've had more modern looks with flat roofs, and that product can fit on a more narrow lot. Provides us a different price point as well. We actually even took that down into Los Lunas, which has been definitely a different style for Los Lunas. But again, it's a growing economy down in Los Lunas, and we know that there's going to be a lot of home buyers that want something different. If you've had a chance to see our Ascension floor plans over by the Balloon Fiesta, those are extremely modern and higher class. I mean, the design on it is beautiful. Obviously, the price point's going to be higher on that. But across the board, we're always looking at new designs that is really going to fit the need of the market and the new home buyers that are out there right now.
Yeah, for us coming up in the near future, we have two kind of exciting things. When we started, again, we're a relatively young company coming up on 5 years. It was important for us to develop a look that we felt would carry over time, so that 30 years ago, just like driving by a Mossman or a Rutledge, you recognize it and it has that value, that recognizing feature. So we really try to do that, have a distinguished look in our first set of product. Now we are coming out with our next evolution of that new product here, hopefully in the next 6 months. So that's an exciting thing that we have coming. The second is we are trying something on a small block of homes in Mesa del Sol, attempting to bring out a net zero product. We're having trouble getting to zero right now in a cost-effective way. I think we're going to be, I don't know if this has marketing value in it, Mac. Tell me if a net 15 house has any value. But we're working on bringing something like that and seeing how it does. We're going to try it on a small number of lots, see if there is a market for something that's a little more, costs a little bit more, but essentially has a net zero application.
Yeah, we started to look at, in some neighborhoods, depends on the neighborhood and the buyer profile we're looking at, but we've looked at reducing some of our square footages a little bit to make it a little more affordable product. Under Pulte Group's umbrella, we have our Del Webb product, we have Pulte, and then we have Syntax. So we have our first Syntex product in Rio Rancho right now, up off of Rainbow on Southern roughly. On there, and those start in the low 300s. So we are looking to add more Syntex product in the market as well, just to bring value to the first-time buyer, really affordability to everybody in that. And that's a product that there are no options. It is fully completed the way it is. We amenitize it the way that we want it, and the price you see at $312 starting is what you get.
Just curious, how many of you sold a Syntex home before? That just tells how old you are. I was gonna say.
It's experience, not age,
That's how
experience.
experienced we are.
So I think for us, just to piggyback on what Will said, for us, what we're trying to do is maybe minimize the amount of options that we have in our product. And so going forward, I think for at least the next 18, 24 months, what we're going to do is really focus on affordability. And so we are going to hit that niche of first-time home buyers or people that are having a little bit more trouble qualifying at this very moment. We'll have more product and more availability for them.
I actually have a question here.
Oh, yeah, go ahead here. You just stand up and yell it out.
Okay, can y'all speak to if you offer the green designations on your homes? One of the things I've heard from multiple people is that they try to put the benefits of that in without the designations, which costs a lot more. So I don't know if that's true or if you can speak to that.
So I know for us, we offer all of the energy efficient keys. We just don't give you the certificate.
Okay.
So one of the big things being you don't get the certificate, and then a lot of times what makes it a green building, correct me if I'm wrong, is the tankless water heater. So we do everything else besides those two things, and it is because it's really cost effective. And so back to the common theme here that we're trying to do is keep our product as affordable as possible going into these next few months. And so that's why we don't offer it in all of our subdivisions.
Pretty much the same thing. We do offer tankless in all of our product. A number of things from the installation otherwise, but we're not passing on the certificate.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot has changed on what's required to get those, and it really hit the affordability piece of it for a lot of builders to be able to get to that certification. But I think, what you'll hear from all of us is that we are really making sure that the energy efficiency is still there with tankless water heaters, insulation, just all the materials that are going into it, but not to the point of the certification.
And I think, and I'm going to speak a little bit out of my area of expertise, so the construction guys here help me out on this, but local building codes put us in that realm anyways. I think we're there based on what's required from the municipalities that we build in. So the certification, even if you get it, is not worth what it used to be 10 years ago when you would ask, is it gold, is it silver, is it, So there's not as much value in it, I think, because we're all there. I think in our standard building stuff, our HERS ratings come in right in what would equate to a silver or low gold, right, depending on the house, and so I think it's a non-issue.
Yeah, and what we say when we're talking to people is when they're buying new, that they are buying, the quality of the home today compared to even 10 years ago is so much higher, right? It's not just the green build, but just overall building codes. Am I right, Mac? He says yes. If he says yes, then it's yes. And so that's one of the things, the value propositions when you're talking to clients about new construction. Like, oh, I don't want new construction, it's too much money, it's a lot more money and this and that. It's like, no, you're getting a much higher quality house, to go back to the whole used versus new conversation, right? And so so there's that. My question is, when are new construction prices going to come down?
Tigo, you're sitting too close to me right now.
No, and this is just it, right? So this, I heard somebody say, oh, I heard lumber came down, so that means new home prices are going to drop. I'm like, well, anyway, can we just talk about that elephant in the room? That's like, when are new construction prices going to go back below 300,000?
Yeah, so they're not, right?
Thank you.
They're not. I think 300,000 to 330 is where you need to expect new home construction to start, and that's 1,200 square feet. That's a 2 or a 3 bedroom. That's, it's a small starter home. The reality is, the costs of bringing on new lots are astronomical. The time it takes to bring on new lots.
What does it cost for a new lot? Just a new
man. Again, outside of my.
Mac, how much does a new lot cost?
You can't get a finished lot built in today's world for less than $70,000 in any suburb.
That's $70,000.
$70,000.
Right? Right? And construction costs, and again, correct me, you know, to build the house, you're talking 120 to 150, depending on the builder. You know, is that in the ballpark?
Square foot?
Yeah, per foot, right? That's our cost, right? So that's not what we have to sell for, right? So the days, you know, and this is something I've noticed in the market. 2 years ago, it was a struggle to have that conversation with brokers because, like I said, we were constantly getting that phone call. Hey, what can I get for 175? What can I get for 200? And those were hard conversations. And we all, not us, it was everybody changed the narrative and the expectation of the buyer, right? And so now we've controlled that. And I think that's real important for us to continue to educate our buyers that, hey, that house that you think you can get isn't available. It's a different market, it's a different world, and it's not changing.
Yeah, I think to add to it about the cost of lumber going down, while lumber may go down, now concrete's up, or windows are up, or something else is up. It's literally like a game of whack-a-mole. You fix one gets better, the other one goes up. So, and labor's still not down. Everything beyond drywall is still very, very busy out there for our trade contractors, so they're not willing to reduce labor cost or anything else at that point. So you've still got a whole lot of homes in flight out there being built that have to still get through the system. We're seeing the front end ease up a little bit, at least on our side. I assume we all are out there. But the back end, that last half of building the home is still extremely busy, and the trade contractors are busy, and the materials to do it are still expensive.
So I'm going to do a shameless plug here. The election's over, thank God. Thank God, we should clap for that. The long session is after an election in Santa Fe is a really big time. The state has a ton of money. We're talking about costs. After the cost of the lot, the cost of gross receipts tax on new construction is our most expensive input. It's between $25,000 and $35,000 a house. I bet you didn't know that. And that doesn't count impact fees, water meters, all the things we pay for. We pay between $40,000 and $50,000 a house in fees and taxes, which doesn't exist on a resale home. So there's efforts by the HBA. We're putting forth some legislation. We're working with NAIOP as well to try to either get a moratorium on that, reduce rate on GRT, because we're taxed higher on that because of the structure of gross receipts on what we build than any state in America. And that's one of the reasons that we have this affordability gap that doesn't make sense for our incomes and what we have in the state. So that's going to be coming. You guys are a huge army, all the people that you know. You can reach out to your representative and really encourage them to take a look at that, especially with what we're dealing with right now from an affordability standpoint. We could potentially have houses under $300,000.
And let's just say that's a really put in perspective. If you can get a new construction home for $350,000 when you're paying that much for a lot, that's pretty good. Because custom builders will tell you 25% of your overall cost should be your lot. So these guys shouldn't be selling us houses for under $500. I mean, really, if you look at the numbers, right? So getting a new construction house for $350 is a good deal. That is the good deal, right? We can't find resale for $150 anymore either. So, anybody else?
So can I add to that last topic real quick?
Yes.
So I think the big thing is just setting a proper expectation. Because for example, we have a couple communities in Los Lunas where you can get products for under $300,000, but the expectation is you're getting 900 square foot, 2-bed, 1 bath, right? And so fully understanding that you're not going to get the 3-4 bedrooms, couple baths is huge. So is it out there? Absolutely. But is it what you want? Probably not.
This is a really super light question compared to what we've been discussing. I've worked with quite a few, done a few deals with new construction, and I know this is everybody's preference is different. But I've always kind of been wondering, what is the level of involvement that you want us as realtors within the transaction?
That's a great question. Awesome.
I know, that is a good question. And it's actually one that we talk about a lot with our sales team as well. So we want the level of involvement that you want, but it just needs to be communicated. And so if you want to be involved, every step of the way just needs to be discussed in what manner you want to be involved. Do you want emails? Do you want to be on every communication? But at the end of the day, the new home specialist is going to be able to handle that client for you and make it very simple to maybe free up some of your bandwidth so you don't have as much time to deal with that. I'll speak a little out of turn here, but for resale, there's a lot of nuances that you are guiding them through to make sure that you're not running into some severe problems on something that you haven't uncovered yet. Whereas with new construction, you don't have to worry about that. Throughout the entire process, we have a third party who's coming through and inspecting at every step of the process to ensure that it's done properly. And the other piece is we really want to work together as partners versus you as the representative of your client versus the builder. I think that's really where the issues come in, when it's like, oh, well, they're not doing this right, let's go after them. It's like, no, let's have a conversation and truly work together as partners to figure out whatever the issue may be and solve that. Otherwise, if everything runs smoothly, not a lot of involvement is really required. So again, it's really as much involvement as you want. It just needs to be communicated well.
And I think that's a perfect answer for probably all of us. The one thing that I will point out is on the resale side, the transaction is magnified. It's intense. It's 30 to 45 days of everything, right? Like it's laid out for you, appraisals, inspections, everything is wrapped into a tight time frame. And what we see is because new construction is a 6 to 8 to 10 month process, depending on where they buy at in the process, the need to overbroker sometimes becomes a challenge for us. And understand that we don't have to do everything in the first 2 weeks after contract, right? We have a process. And so, and Tigo's laughing at my overbroker.
I love overbroker.
But it's something we talk about.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, like you have to let it happen, right? Like understand the process. If you haven't done it before, ask us. We'll guide you through it because all we want to do is the same thing you do, get to the end. Like we want to get there and we know what it takes because for us, we do 90 a year. So we know how to get there, right?
Yeah, and back to what Sheena said, we will personalize it however you want. So if you want to be actively involved, copy it on every email, we'll do that. I would say from a broker coming with models, let our sales agents at least do their initial presentation and build value in our product. They're trained experts on that product. That's what they should know inside and out. So let them go through, ask questions as you want to, but I can give you an example over the years a few times where I've had an agent following along saying, oh, and that's included, that's included. Like, that's not included. So it turns the presentation negative for going that way. So let us go through, demonstrate our product, build value, and then ask all the questions you want. We're happy to cooperate with you on this.
Yeah, building on what everybody said is it's up to you guys, right? So what I used to do and what I tell my agents to do is we put everybody in the same group chat message, right? So yourself, the buyer, and the sales rep is involved in that. The level of interaction is completely up to you. If you want a thumbs up a message and that's all you do for 6 months, it's fine. If you want to respond, that's great, right? But it's completely up to you guys and it's tailored specifically to you. I've had brokers in the past tell me, hey, you communicate to me and I'll communicate to the buyer. And in that case, I don't do the text message thing, right? So it's completely up to you and how you want to structure it throughout the process.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, though. I will say that it does get a little testy, though, if it's you communicate through me and we'll talk to the buyer only. There can be some challenges, with what Will was saying of maybe there's some miscommunication. Let us be the experts at what we do, and you continue to work with us. If you have questions, don't feel bad about asking the questions. Again, it's like going back to being a doctor. That's not your area of expertise. It's okay. That is our area of expertise. Ask us the questions, and we'll walk you through and make you guys look like the pro in your area too and in front of your client.
For sure.
Let me help out my new home sales friends out there. Here's what you shouldn't do. When you walk into the sales center with your client and they get this great presentation from these trained agents, and they say, yeah, I love it, I want to buy it. Don't say, no, wait, we haven't looked at any resale yet.
Thank you.
Just let them buy it. You don't have to go show them 20 houses. It's okay. I would send those agents a text when they left and they were on my naughty list. Take it. All right, we got time for a
Can I just hit on something? If you know the other, we're talking mostly production build here, but there is the spec build also, right? And there is opportunity for us. So don't forget about that, right? I mean, you can go to, okay, Andrew's here, so I'll just say it. You can go to a company like Fellowship Homes, right? That can, you just introduce them. They go up, pick out the lot. They design, they build their house, custom build, and you get paid on it too. So don't forget about that. I mean, that is out there.
This isn't a question so much as it is a comment. We realtors, with our GAAR and everybody, we're a force. I'm sitting here thinking, 300,000 starting price? Are you kidding me? Well, what we need to be considering here, our gentleman that spoke about the upcoming legislative session, what we need to be working on is our economic development here, and what we can do to get our New Mexico people to where we can afford a $300,000 house and not have to worry about it so much. The states around us are just booming, and every time New Mexico sits there and we don't flourish with everybody else around us, and that gross receipts tax is a big part of it. What can we do with our representatives and the people in New Mexico? Sheriff McCorkle, who's taken over from him from that Albuquerque economic development? It's been too many years since I went to the
Well, it's called Area now.
Okay.
It's called Area now. In fact, there's an event this afternoon. Anybody going to that this evening? Anyway, it used to be AED. Now it's Area, which
We have a lot of power.
But they're actually doing a lot of good work, and there was a presentation at GAAR here a week or two ago. So yeah, I mean, yes, I agree.
Yeah. We have a lot of power. We need as a group to move forward with this instead of saying, you know, I'm doing it too. 300,000. Oh my God, I don't have any buyer. I've been in those things. Yeah. Let's move together forward to where our companies are moving in here and we've got more jobs available, and that's not such a big hurdle to jump over.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right, awesome. Well, I just want to real quick thank our panel here for volunteering their time today. Again, we hope to do this in 3 or 4 more months with a different topic, and we hope to see you all here. Maybe we have to get a bigger venue. I don't know. This place is packed. Again, Frost Mortgage is offering 12 drink tickets. We hope you stay. We hope you drink. All of the builders have a table up top. Please go ask them questions. We didn't want to talk about, you know, prices and neighborhoods and take time for that today, but they all have that available to you. So please stick around. Talk to Maria about what he can offer. Talk to any of us. JP, you want to wrap it up with anything?
Thank you so much, guys, for coming.
Yeah, real quick, thank you to everybody for taking the time and coming to do this. Standing in rooms like this with Mac and Brian and the people up here, to me, is always humbling and an awesome experience to learn, so I really appreciate that. There are 2 things that I would ask you guys to do. As part of the Home Builders Association, we are actively trying to get brokers to participate. If you have an interest in doing that, come see me, and I can tell you how we can get you involved with the Sales and Marketing Council for the Home Builders Association. And then the second thing is, through our Parade of Homes coming up in 2023, we are working on an event that would feature $1 million plus homes, both on the new construction and the resale side. If you are a broker that specializes in listings of $1 million plus homes, come see me. I'd like to kind of pick your ear on that and get you keyed in on what we're trying to do. So again, thank you very much to everybody. Ann, amazing as usual. Nobody rebounds like Ann Vallejo. Jorge, thank you so much for your sponsorship. Thank you to Frost Mortgage. Everybody grab a drink and come talk to our builders up there.
That was awesome. Awesome. Okay, now the problem is I'm not sure if I can get up. I'm like, oh God. Oh gosh.